What if I told you that your brain is constantly lying to you? Not in a harmful way, but every second, your brain is making assumptions about the world around you. It fills in missing information, connects unrelated elements, finds patterns where none may actually exist, and without realizing it, you rely on these shortcuts every day. This idea lies at the heart of one of the most influential concepts in design and psychology: Gestalt Theory. Gestalt theory emerged in Germany during the early 20th century. Psychologists wanted to understand how humans perceive visual information. What they discovered was surprising. People do not see individual elements first. Instead, we naturally see the whole before we see the parts. In other words, the human brain is wired to organize information into meaningful patterns. This idea is often summarized by a famous phrase: "The whole is greater than the sum of its parts." For designers, this principle changes everything. Because great design isn't just about what people see, it's about how people interpret what they see. Let's explore some of the most important Gestalt principles. The first is proximity. Proximity states that objects placed close together are perceived as belonging together. Imagine a page filled with dots. If some dots are grouped closely together, your brain instantly sees clusters rather than individual points. Designers use proximity constantly. Menus, navigation systems, forms, dashboards. Grouping related information makes interfaces easier to understand. The second principle is similarity. When elements look alike, people assume they are related. Objects that share color, size, shape, or style are automatically grouped by the brain. Think about buttons on a website. If every primary button shares the same color, users quickly learn their purpose. Similarity creates consistency and predictability. Another powerful principle is continuity. The brain prefers smooth, continuous paths. Instead of seeing disconnected segments, we naturally follow lines and curves. This is why road signs, flowcharts, and timelines feel intuitive when arranged properly. Designers use continuity to guide the viewer's eye through a layout. Without saying a word, the design creates direction. Then there is closure. Perhaps one of the most fascinating Gestalt principles. Closure occurs when the brain fills in missing information to complete a shape. Even when parts of an image are absent, we still recognize the whole. This is why many famous logos work so well. A few carefully placed shapes can suggest an entire object. The viewer completes the image mentally. In a sense, the audience becomes part of the design process. Another principle is figure and ground. This describes how we separate an object from its background. Sometimes the distinction is obvious. Other times it becomes ambiguous. A famous example is the Rubin vase illusion. At first, you may see a vase. Then suddenly, you notice two faces looking at each other. The image hasn't changed. Only your perception has. Designers often use figure-ground relationships to create clever visual effects, hidden meanings, and memorable logos. The final principle we'll explore is common fate. Elements moving in the same direction are perceived as belonging together. Imagine a flock of birds crossing the sky. You don't see hundreds of individual birds. You see one coordinated group. This principle is especially important in animation, motion graphics, and user interface design. Movement itself creates relationships. So why does Gestalt theory matter? Because design is communication, and communication depends on perception. If people misunderstand what they see, the message fails. Gestalt principles help designers organize complexity into clarity. They allow us to guide attention, create hierarchy, improve usability, and make information easier to understand. What's remarkable is that these principles are everywhere: in logos, websites, posters, apps, architecture, photography, even in the way we interpret everyday scenes around us. Once you learn Gestalt theory, you begin to notice it everywhere. You start seeing invisible connections, patterns, relationships, visual decisions that previously went unnoticed. And that's what makes Gestalt theory so powerful. It reveals that great design isn't just about creating beautiful things. It's about understanding how people see. Because before people can understand a message, their brain must first organize it. And Gestalt Theory explains exactly how that happens. The next time you encounter a logo, a website, or a beautifully designed poster, take a closer look. You might discover that what you're seeing isn't actually there. Your brain simply completed the picture. And that's the magic of perception.